Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. From now through May 6th, if you use that promo code, you will automatically be entered into a drawing to win a War of the Spark booster box. See the description below for details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and today is the 5th day of official War of the Spark previews. We have more cards to look at and analyze today. And as always, if you're curious about the source of these cards, just check out the description below. They're all down there. Without any further ado, let's get into it. Bulwark Giant. This is a fine limited card. I don't have a ton to say about it. It's pretty high up there when it comes to the casting cost at 6. It isn't very hard to cast when it comes to color identity, just 1 white, very splashable. But the problem is, once you get up to the 5, 6, 7 spot in your deck, you could have some big bombs potentially, and if you do, you most likely won't be running this. What's nice about this, though, is there is a big chunk of life gain when it enters the battlefield. 5 life is relatively significant. So if I'm not running it in my main, I might consider bringing it in if I have an aggressive matchup and I got beat down early in game 1. In that case, that 5 life might be very welcome later on in the game, and the 3-6 power and toughness wouldn't be bad in those situations either. And you know what? Sometimes you might just need a curve filler and you might main deck it anyway. Pouncing Links. Now, this is my idea of a good 2-drop for Drafter Sealed. It's a 2-1. It has first strike on your turn. Very aggressive card. Sometimes you need that in white. And you know you're going to need 2 drops. It's a very important part of your curve when it comes to the limited game. This is more than serviceable in that spot. War Screecher. Decent Drafter Sealed card here. When you first glance at this, you might be turned off a little bit by the cost of that ability. White and 5 and tap to give other creatures you control +1/+1 till end of turn. But then you got to consider that this is stapled onto a 2 casting cost 1/3 flyer. I don't know about you, but I played a lot of 1/2 flyers for 2 in Drafter Sealed before without any abilities attached to them and been relatively happy. So this gives it an extra ability that makes it relevant maybe in the later portion of the game, which is kind of nice. Overall, maybe these don't always make your cut. It just depends on what you're trying to do with your deck. But they're great for gumming up the battlefield. A 1/3 in the air is going to stop a lot of things early on in the game, especially against an aggressive matchup. Spellkeeper Weird, and Weirds are back as you can see in this set, which is pretty cool. I think this particular one, being at common, it might be a little slow for what it's trying to do within the standard environment, but again, Drafter Sealed, I'd be happy to play this. In your limited game, if I throw this down on turn 3 or turn 4, or even later in the game, that ability could be relevant. Maybe I'm just paying 2, tapping, sacrificing it just to get an instant or sorcery that's a removal spell back to my hand. That alone might be worth the price of admission right there. And if you happen to be maybe in Izzet colors or something like that, you could even have more options of different things you could do with this. But even if it's just getting me the removal spell, I'm going to be happy. Bane Hound. This is actually another common that is very intriguing to me for the limited game. That seems to be today's theme. Not a lot of stuff for standard necessarily, but for Drafter Sealed, I would play this a lot of the time and be fine with it. It might not always make my cut. I mean, I don't think it's as good as, say, a Healer's Hawk or something like that. But the fact that it could potentially come in on turn 1, go in for a 2-point life swing, and if you can attack again, like on turn 2, that's a 4-point life swing. Not bad for a 1-drop, right? You might have better 2-drops or even 1-drops in your pool, and you might skip this some of the time. But I wouldn't be sad if I had to play this card. And I'm assuming that Orzhov is doing another attrition type strategy in this set, and that's why we're seeing some of the cards like this, and it might be better in those type of builds. Spellgorger Weird. Here's another weird. This one is still a common, but I like this one quite a bit. 2/2 for 3. However, whenever you cast the non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on this. That's actually pretty sweet. We see a lot of commons in these sets that will get +1/+0 till end of turn whenever you play an instant or sorcery. Sometimes, if you're lucky, it's like +1/+1. In this case, you're getting a +1/+1 counter for any non-creature spell. That really opens the door to more strategies in Drafter Sealed. Even if you're not playing a lot of non-creature spells, you know you're going to play a few removal spells or combat tricks. If this thing got to be a 3/3 or 4/4 throughout the game, you got your value for what you paid for it. I actually think this could see a little standard play. I'd at least want to test it in some of these decks that run a lot of non-creature spells, things like Izzet Drake or Izzet Phoenix, for example. And another place this card could really shine is Pauper. There's a lot of cheap non-creature spells in that format that are very good. Primordial Worm. Now, this is a reprint. It wasn't too long ago that we saw this in Dominaria. I do like the flavor text here as well as the art itself. I do think that's cool. The card itself is only so-so in Drafter Sealed. It's sizable. I mean, for 6 mana, you get a 7/6. That is board presence. but you kind of want to do more with 6 mana, have a creature with some abilities or something like that. In a pinch, though, this is something that will be there for you. Wardscale Crocodile. This does have hexproof, so if you have some enchantments, this card does get a little bit better. What I don't like about it, though, is it's a 5-drop with 3 toughness. Many times this will just trade down in combat unless you can beef it up with something. So, yeah, the hexproof is nice, and if you can exploit that, go for it. However, you might have better 5-drops a lot of the time. Role Reversal. Okay, this one is a rare, and we see these exchange permanent cards every once in a while, but they usually cost you more than a converted mana cost of 3. Granted, this one is a little color intensive, asking 2 blue and red, but still, you're only paying 3 for this? That's pretty good. And you can switch anything. Remember, this exchange is permanent, and you can exchange any permanent type. That includes lands. So yes, this is the Tron Hose card of the set. Feels like we get at least one in every set now. But aside from that, there's a lot of cool plays you could do with this. Imagine if you had one of those uncommon planeswalkers that was ticked down pretty low, and you could exchange it for a mythic planeswalker that was about to have its ultimate go off. Something like that could be a huge turn. Now maybe that's Magical Christmas Land, but even if you just exchanged a small creature for a large creature, you're getting your value out of this 3 converted mana cost spell. I can't say that enough. This is a high pick for me in draft. Even though it is a gold card, I'm okay with that because I do think the upside is pretty strong here. Standard, unfortunately, I think it's a little too dependent on board state to be consistent. Maybe it could see some sideboard play somewhere in the future, though. Okay, maybe my favorite card of the day because I love value. Magic players love value, so you're going to love this card. Tolsimir, Friend to Wolves, and on the right side you see the token that goes along with it, Boja, Friend to Elves. Of course, there's a lot of history with this character, originally coming from Ravnica City of Guilds. It's always nice to see these kind of throwbacks. But the card itself is not just a nostalgia trip. This is the real deal. Check this out. 5 converted mana cost. Granted, 2 green and a white are in there, but still. You get 6/6 power toughness on the battlefield, plus you gain 3 life, plus if you want, your wolf can fight one of your opponent's creatures. Yeah, that is no messing around. The raw power here is extraordinary. Standard, it will see play there in some capacity. Maybe you can try this out in Bant tokens or Selesnya tokens. This, of course, is a bomb and limited. You're not going to see it all the time being a rare, but if you happen to get it, this is something I would be happy to first pick, even though it is a gold card again. The card's so good, I would just have to force it in draft, and we have seen a wolf in this set as well as Arlen, who makes wolf tokens. And I gotta kind of wonder how deep that goes. Even if it's just a light draft strategy, it could be enough to give this card enough support to make it that much better. The other place you might want to play this, of course, would be Commander. Alright, those are the cards for today. Now, we're not getting as many cards as we were getting before, but they are spreading this out over the course of 3 weeks now instead of the usual 2 weeks, which I don't think is a bad thing because I think a lot of times cards were getting lost in the shuffle when we were trying to look at 25 cards a day, right? So, until tomorrow, when we do this all over again, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon and have a great day.